Welcome to the channel and welcome to this 1000 point battle between the Imperium, consisting of Blood Angels and Imperial Guard, versus the Tyranids. On a temperate world at the fringes of a Tyranid hive fleet, the Space Marines and Imperial Guard gather to put to rest Tyranid swarm. Today I'm going to try something a little different, and I'm going to play basically a not tiny battle of 1000 points on my fairly tiny table. Here we have 1000 points of Tyranids, and here we have about 660 points of Blood Angels and about 330 points of Imperial Guard. I basically just put two detachments together. They're fighting for the Imperium. It's all good. Let's look at the mission that we're going to play. So today we're going to play the Eternal War Incursion mission, Divide and Conquer. Mission brief is: the enemy's advance forces are seeking to expand into our territory, that's the Imperium, but they risk overextending themselves. If you strike quickly and capture key battlefield locations, you can drive a wedge between the foe's warriors, divorcing them from their support units and making them easy prey to dispatch at your leisure. So this one has taken hold progressive objective. At the end of each player's command phase, the player whose turn it is scores 5 victory points for each of the following conditions: they control 1 or more, they control 2 or more, they control more than the enemy. Just for simplicity, I'm also just going to take the secondary objective alone. Lines of Demarcation. At the end of your turn, you score 4 victory points if you control both objective markers labeled A, or 2 if you control both markers labeled B. What the battlefield looks like is this. So we're basically starting one at each end, which is a deliberate choice of basically mission because I'm playing on quite a narrow table, and objectives that are 10 inches away from each other. Because the table's quite narrow, very narrow indeed, I might actually make it a little less than 10 inches just to sort of focus things in the middle. So let's have a look what that's going to look like for objectives. So basically the armies are lined up there just for me to show you in a minute who's in the army. But yeah, these are the objectives that we can see. So these two are A and these two are B. Now, let's have a look at the armies. Let's start off with the Blood Angels. So we have a Primaris captain in Gravis armor. Lets people re-roll hits around him. I think rolls of 1s. He's got that gauntlet is really good in close combat. I've used him a few times with mixed results. Sometimes he's really effective. Sometimes he's not really effective. But you know, that's kind of down to how I use them probably. Here we have some partially unpainted Terminators. Basically big, hitty, and very expensive points-wise Terminators. They're in 2 units. 5 of them have what they call Thunder Hammers, and the other ones have Lightning Claws. I nearly said Thunder Claws. And over here we have a Redemptor Dreadnought. Redemptor has the heavy onslaught Gatling cannon over there on the left. Also big power fisty jobby. I think I gave him the missile launchers, or maybe not, just to keep the points down because it was like 5 out. And a heavy flamer, I think, on the fist as well. Really good at shooting. This Redemptor I've found in whenever I've used him. The Imperial Guard, we have just a lowly unit of 10 Cadians. Heavy weapon is an autocannon because I absolutely love them. What we got a grenade launcher over here. We have a Commissar, a Lord Commissar, sorry. If you check out my battle report with the Necrons, he absolutely shone. Much more than I'd anticipated. Check it out. Look how small he is compared to that Primaris as well. Wow. And we also have a WYSIWYG Limanus. 2 multi-melters, which are 50 points each, pretty hefty. I can see the unpainted bit there pretty badly, so I'm going to move the camera. Oh, I can see another unpainted bit. Maybe I should just paint it. We've got a heavy flamer on the front, and we've got, what's it called, the double autocannon dually on the top. It has grinding advance, which means that if it stays still or moves less than half of its movement, it can shoot its main turret weapon twice. For the Tyranids, wow, You get so much for the same points, don't you? We have, I think it's 22 Hormagaunts. I always get Hormagaunts and Termagants mixed up, but I think these are Hormagaunts. We have, what is it, 12 Termagants, the other ones. And we have 5 Gene Stealers. We also have the Swarm Lord, who is an absolute beast. We have a winged Hive Tyrant, who is also an absolute beast. And I'll stop saying these are beasts because they're all beasts, aren't they? We have a Tyrannifex with a Rupture Cannon because, honestly, I just love the Rupture Cannon. It's such a good weapon. And if that's a weapon beast, I said beast again. So it shoots twice, basically, if it stays still. And so the board's fairly symmetrical mostly, so I'm just, because it's easier, going to put the humans this end and the aliens this end, and let's roll off to see who deploys first. I should also say that the Swarm Lord and the Hive Tyrant, they both know Psychic Scream, Smite and Onslaught, so basically they are mortal wound machines and also running fast machines if they need to be. Running pretty low on space, so I'm just going to roll in this gap. So we've got blue for the Imperium, purple for the Tyranids. Lowest deploys first. And basically the Imperium will be deploying first. So Imperium deployment is complete. Unsurprisingly, all my Terminators are going to start the battle off the field. This Leman Russ is basically sitting here so that when deployed, we'll see. We'll hopefully have some line of sights that maybe look a bit like that. That would be good, wouldn't it? He can also, if he needs to or wants to, trundle forward a bit and offer some support on that flank, or also come around here in order to offer some support on this flank. The Redemptor Dread is basically Mr. Left Flank, and here he has Mr. Rerolls as a boss with him as well. So yeah, basically focusing that line of fire that he has all the way down there to try and defend that as much as he can. This flank, to be honest, is probably the weak flank for the Imperium. Basically got 10 guardsmen here and the Commissar. Commissar is basically going to lend his leadership to these likely lads down here. The heavy weapon, I feel, is a bit of a hindrance perhaps, because in reality they might have to move up here and actually try and capture this. These are just not there, by the way. So yeah, let's go ahead and see what it looks like after the Tyranids deploy. So Tyranid deployment is complete and compressed because we're on a narrow battlefield. But basically what we've done here is these Hormagaunts, are basically thinking that this seems like maybe the easier flank for them to face up against. As things stand here, so that probably gives them the best chance. What also doesn't hurt their chances is that the Swarm Lord's probably going to be trying to help them out as well. That's really not a hindrance if you're a little Hormagaunt. Down here we got the Termagants. They're basically kind of the flexible choice, so they can either move up here and capture that, or my Tyrannifex can, or they can actually scurry around the back here and flank and take this objective here, providing that thing doesn't just absolutely splat them before that even happens. Unsurprisingly, my winged Hive Tyrant is circling overhead, ready to swoop wherever she feels like coming in. And the Gene Stealers, I'll have to set up the spawning nodes for them just in their deployment zone. Yeah, that's basically both sides deployed. I mean, they could get tabled turn one. No, not really. That would survive. But yeah, cool. Let's roll off and see who's gonna go first. So highest is gonna go first. Purple for Tyranids, blue for humans. And again, with the advantage, it's going to be the Tyranids. So turn one, we're not going to have any what they call reserves coming in. So let's have a look and see what the board looks like after Tyranids turn one movement. Right then, so in rather terrifying fashion, a lot of advancing happened on this left flank here. These guys have adrenal glands, so they get +1 to their move. They already move a lot, and they rolled a 6 for their advance. So absolutely crazy moves for these little Hormagaunts here. The Swarm Lords are also advanced. They are basically on top of this objective here. It is in there. Honest. And so from next turn, they're basically going to start scoring that. This is a fairly terrifying sight for the Guard here, who, you know, in my heart of hearts, I hope they do okay, but it's not looking good when you look down the barrel of their sights and see what's coming. The Tyranids, in a bit of tactical genius, sacrificed its shooting twice and basically moved up onto this objective here. As you can see, basically staring down the barrel of a Leman Russ, but she's got a barrel of her own. Very sneaky, the little, what they call termagants here, are basically hiding. They advanced as well. Their plan is to get on this objective, maybe hold it for a turn if they can survive the guns over there. So, time to see if we're in psychic range. Basically, the only psyker on the field is this guy, so let's see if they're in range. I got my sticks here. What is it? 12 plus 6. Oops. Checking range. Yeah, we're in range, and that is bad news for the Imperial Guard, who are basically going to get softened up with a bit of Smite and Psychic Scream from the Swarm Lord. So first off, the nearest unit is actually that infantry unit, so we're going to try and cast Smite on them, and we need a 5, and it passes. 3 mortal wounds, and that is 3 wounds off that unit. Next we have the other one. I can't remember if I just did Smite or Psychic Scream. I think I did Smite, didn't I? Psychic Scream now, and that passes, which is good news. D3 mortal wounds, just the 1. Okay, fair enough. Stand him up. I'll take this guy. So that's 4 dead after that psychic phase. Now we're going to move on to shooting. Shooting, unsurprisingly, our Tyranids over here is going to put 4 shots of its rupture cannon into those guys there, but also with its stinger salvo, 4 into the guardsman over here. Rupture cannon first, and hitting on 4s into the Leman Russ. And only 1 hit. That weapon there is strength 10. So that means that we're going to be wounding on 3s. Wounding a Leman Russ on 3s. And it's a fail. Stinger salvo now, going into the remaining Guard, hitting on 4s. Again, only 1 hit. Wounding on 3s. And it wounds. -1 AP and 1 damage means that they don't get saves. And so another Guardsman is out of there. For coherency, I'm going to get rid of that guy. And that's all for shooting. We're going to have a morale check here for these guys because they are within 9 inches, is it 6 inches of their commissar up here in his lovely fancy coat. They get to use his leadership of 9. So basically, D6 plus 5 has to come to 9 or less. Let's see what we got. 3 plus 5 is 8, so they've passed their leadership test. I'm not sure I would if I was them, but they have. And with that, we move on to the Imperial Guard. Sorry, the Imperium's first turn. It's mostly Imperial Guard though who are left, and no reinforcements coming in this turn. So let's see what it looks like after Imperium movement. Right, we've got a fight on our hands here. These guys have stayed still so that they're heavy weapon fire and they can shoot twice hopefully into this just to thin the herd a bit, even though there's a Swarm Lord there. But you know, you got to do what you can do. The Leman Russ here basically trundled forward a little, absolutely committing to getting an objective, which is great, but also trying to do something about the Swarm Lord here. These two in just a real, like, you know, Wild West gunslinging battle here. Down here, a lot of advancing happened. Whoa, look at my shadow. And these guys are actually, he's holding the objective actually. That's close enough, so if he survives another turn, he will be actually scoring points there. And this guy's here just for pew pew when these guys show their ugly little faces. So, Let's move on to, we've got no psychers. So here we are. We're just going to be doing some shooting down here, and then we'll move on to the Leman Russ into that. So first off with our shooting, our friend with the grenade launcher, he's going to flip the frag switch on, which basically gives bonuses because there's an absolute metric F ton of those. So we're getting 6 shots and we're hitting on 4s. Wow, loads of them. Oh no, half of them. Okay. Wounding on, I had to double check that. Yeah, wounding on 4s, which is worse than I thought. None of them. Are you telling me a frag grenade in there wouldn't wound a single one? Wow. Remember that these are guys Acadians, so maybe they should have re-rolled any ones that came out there for the frag grenade, but I'm not entirely sure that any did. Anyway, autocannon, re-rolling 1s, 2 shots, hitting on 4s. Nice. This is AP -1, and it is also, what's the word? Damage 2, so overkill splats on 2s. And 2 overkill splats. Woohoo, finally. Pistol from the sergeant into them. He's hitting on a 4. I'll call that a 4, to be honest. Yeah, it's a cocked 4, but wounding on a 4. Nice. Up save required by these guys. Let's see if they can get it. No, that's another 4. So another one is a splat, which is good news. Now the las gun. On 4s, re-rolling 1s. Nice shooting. Wounding on 4s. Oh, both failed. So that's their shooting done. Now we are on to the Lord Commissar. And the Lord Commissar here, it's not his first barn dance. He knows things aren't looking good on this flank. And he knows that the Swarm Lord basically needs to be dealt with somewhat. So, flipping the switch on his plasma pistol, knowing that to fail is to kill himself, he basically overcharges his pistol and takes aim. So he's hitting on a 2-up and he's dying on a 1. Let's see what happens. And he has hit. Nice shooting, sir. Swarm Lord's toughness 7, so he's wounding the Swarm Lord on a 3. What we got? Oh, it's a 1. Oh well. There's a cool build-up. Now on to the gun battle we've all been waiting for. It is Mr. Leman Russ against Mr. Tyrannifex over there. But I don't think everything needs to go on the Tyrannifex. I feel like you need to get Tyrannifexes like down a few wounds so that they stop being so effective. So basically, what is going to happen here? The Leman Russ unselfishly is going to point that heavy flamer through the gap and try and whittle down some enemies on that flank for their lowly brothers on foot over here. The Hormagaunts, sensing something is maybe a miss, hear a sizzle in the distance. And here comes D6 auto-hitting heavy flamer shots. 3. -1 AP, strength 5. We are sizzling aliens on 3s. All 3 sizzled aliens. Take them off the back, eh? There we go. The dead pile here. These are alive, these are dead. I feel like that's okay shooting, you know, for the Imperial Guard. Only the basically lowliest weapon on the Leman Russ shot. These guys shot. He shot for no effect, but you know. So now, finally, we're going to have the Leman Russ and the Tyrannifex. So, I think we'll start off with the autocannons. We're going to be hitting on 4s. Both hit. The autocannon is actually 1 weaker than the toughness of the Tyrannifex, so we're actually wounding on 5s here, which I didn't expect. Failed. Uh-oh. However, those sponsons, those 50-point multi-melters, let's see how they do. These guys are hitting on 4s. And only 1 hit. Man point one of these, because I don't like 1s. 4. It's gone! 4. Sorry, viewers. We're also wounding on a 4. And that's failed. And that is all the shooting from the Leman Russ. And from the Imperium. With that, we're going to move on to turn 2 on my team agnostic dice colouring here. And this is where we're going to start scoring objectives. And basically, before movement, we have one objective, two objectives held by the Tyranids. One is 1 point. More than the enemy is sorry. One is 5 points. One more than the enemy is another 5 points. So we've got 10 points to 0 now for the Tyranids. And let's see what the battlefield looks like after Tyranid movement. Turn 2. Here we go. Unsurprisingly, the Tyranids have pushed forward, except for the Tyrannofex, who's going to sit there and shoot twice. The Swarm Lord has basically shimmied to a slightly more central position in order to potentially offer some help through there if it's needed. After some smiting and things, softening it up, no doubt. We'll see what happens also after a turn of that shooting. It's going to be pretty heavy. Here we have green... well, a red and blue rather horde of just chattering chitin and basically coming in. I'm going to break upon the shores of this guy's head. Not looking good for this little squad here. Let's see if the Commissar can turn things around like he has done in other battle reports. On this flank, the Termagants, they've basically come out of the shadows here and they're going to, I think, probably put everything that they've got into this guy. He has a 4-up invulnerable, but these guys get 3 shots each. So, potentially 30 shots. I'll have to check line of sight in a minute, but I think 2 of them can't see him. And the rest are basically going to be putting 3 shots into him with those devourers there in their hands. Psychic phase now, and we're basically going to smite the Russ with our Swarm Lord. We're looking for 5 or more. Ideally 10 or 11, definitely not 12 or 2. Oh, drop 1. And that's passed. 3 mortal wounds here. And that's 3 wounds off the Leman Russ through there. The Russ on 9 wounds now. And let's see how the Psychic Scream goes. And we've failed that Psychic Scream attempt. So, you know, some mercy there for the Leman Russ battle time through there. So we're on to shooting with the Rupture Cannon and the, what's it called, Tyrannofex. Basically, everything is going to go into the Leman Russ, including the Stinger Salvo, which is controversial because it's more of an anti-infantry weapon. However, let's go. We're going to hit on 4s. 1, we're going to wound on 3s. And that's got through. It has a 3-up save. The Rupture Cannon has -3, so I need a 6 here to save the Leman Russ from wounds. It's a 1. D6 mortal wounds here. It's on 9. And that's 5 wounds off the Leman Russ. The Weapon Beast did not move, so gets to shoot again. We might not even need the Stinger Salvo, or maybe we'll need it just to finish it off. We're going to hit on 4s again. More hits this time. We're going to wound on 3s. Whoops, dropped 1, missed 1. Failed, wow. I realise now that I've made a mistake with the Rupture Cannon. It's supposed to only be 3 shots, not 4. So I've given it 8 altogether. It should have had 6, so I'm going to give this another wound back, I think. That seems fair to me. Apologies, forgiveness please. What is 4 shots though is the Stinger Salvo, so the first 4 shots are going to hit on 4s. And it's pretty consistently terrible shooting from this guy. Wounding on a 5. Oh, that's wounded, wow. AP, so 4-up save. And that's failed. Which kind of feels fair given that I've just gave it a wound, so we'll take another 1 off and we'll shoot the Stinger Salvo again. 4 shots hitting on 4s. Again on 5s. Nice. Save of 4-up. And that's also failed. And so, wow, this Leman Russ is on 3 wounds left, and there is a Swarm Lord not far away. Totally forgot to do my reserves, by the way. I was going to put the Hive Tyrant here and the Gene Stealers here, blocking Deep Strike. Many apologies for that. Right, let's continue. What we're going to do, we are going to charge the Swarm Lord into the Leman Russ. What does he need to charge? So he needs an average roll of a 7 to get in. Let's see how he does. And he does well. The Russ made a calculated move of moving up onto that objective. Honestly, it feels like that was in error. The Swarm Lord, hunching its shoulders to get through the archway here, is now within spitting distance, and you don't want a Swarm Lord to spit on you. 6 attacks with the Swarm Lord, and we're going to be hitting on 2s. A few 1s there, but enough not 1s. Wounding on 4s. All failed. Wow. Okay, so the Lehman Rush survives. And then the Lehman Rush now gets to hit back. One measly, sad attack from the Lehman Rush on 3 wounds. It hits on a 6. It doesn't hit on a 6. Another thing I've got wrong this turn, really sorry about this. There's a lot to keep track of when you do these by yourself. Is we didn't charge with these guys. I mean, they need like a 2 to get in. Let's see how they get in. They get 4. Okay, so now we're going to move up with these guys. The combat over there is finished, so we'll move on to this combat next. 4-inch charge. Tide rises probably a little bit too high for these guardsmen liking. And yeah, let's see how these attacks go with the Hormagaunts hitting first. You know what, there's so many dice and things, I'm just going to go and do the combat and get back to you after we've seen what happens. So at the end of that combat, the Imperial Guard only lost 3 wounds from that unit. The what they call Hormagaunts lost 1. I'm really surprised that the Guard are actually still in this combat. That's very surprising to me. The Commissar still is down here. He might get involved, I think, this next turn. So yeah, sorry, that was a pretty messed up turn, wasn't it? I forgot my deep strike in, and then I forgot to charge, and yeah, we'll try and get it better on the next turn. We still need to do shooting over the other side. Basically, all of these guys shooting into the Gravis armor captain over there. So let's see what that looks like. 30 shots, because 10 of them are in range. These are going to be hitting on 4s. Quite a few hits in there. We'll be wounding on 5s. Oh, there's a couple. 3-up save normally. Let's see what that does. If any gets through. And he saved all of them. So all of that shooting. 30 shots from those little guys over there. And he's absolutely fine. And that was a pretty bad turn for the Guard. I mean, not entirely like the end of the world, I suppose. Tanks can now shoot in close combat. So, you know, they can shoot at the Swarm Lord there. Also, I think, actually no, it doesn't apply to them, it applies to them. Basically, they have a thing where they can hold the objective even if they're outnumbered. Yeah, so with that, let's go on to movement for the Imperium. Turn 2. Let's go. So, I should have done the what's it called? Points, capture points. Sorry, humans had this one. And also that one, so that's 2. That's more than the enemy had, so they're also on 10 points. So, you know what? No, this is contested, isn't it? Because he hasn't got the special rule because he's not part of the right kind of detachment. So, yeah, there's going to be 5 points there. So, it's 10 points to 5 points on victory points. The Terminators have dropped in here. Basically, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, they definitely want to have this, but I don't just want them to sit on an objective for the entire match, because I would really love for them to go and hit him on the head with their lightning claws, or at least, you know, wrap him up a little bit. Over here, our Terminators, absolutely desperate to make an impact, have dropped in to try and lend some help on this side. Just move these guys. Here we have these guys moving up. We're going to get some flamer action. We're going to get some Gatling cannon action. I wonder if I maybe have too much stuff on this flank here, but you know, these guys are also trying to protect the rear from the Hive Tyrants attacks. So they might also go across there. I'm not sure. So yeah, that is movement. We haven't got any psychers. Let's go on to shooting. Pretty sad for the Lehman Russ over there. He is going to be hitting on 6s. So yeah, with his auto cannon now into the Swarm Lord, 6s. Way, he got one. We're going to be wounding on 4s, and he didn't. Multi-melters now hitting on 6s. These are at half range, so it could do some real singeing damage if they hit, which they didn't. Next we've got the heavy flamer shooting d6 times, or hitting d6 times. Okay, wounding on 5s. One of them. So he gets his 4-up invulnerable. And that's actually failed. So the Heavy Flamer has taken a wound off the Swarm Lord. Yeah, Auto Cannon gets to shoot again. Reroll ones because Cadian stood still. Okay. And that was the shooting for the Leman Russ. And to be honest, it went a bit better than I expected. Shooting here, the guardsman shot his pistol. He hit, he wounded, and then the 6 save was hit by the little Gribblies. The Commissar, he hit on his 2+, I think he got like a 4 or something, and then failed to wound with a 1. Now we're going to shoot everything that we got here in this Redemptor Dreadnought into these guys. 12 bullets hitting on 3s. Only 2 misses, and these are splattering aliens on 2s. Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That was absolutely fantastic shooting with the heavy onslaught Gatling cannon, and 9 of those Termagants are dead. Heavy Flamer now is going to be auto hitting with 6 shots. Only 1. It's going to be wounding on a 3. Actually killing on a 3. So there's another 1 dead. So that's 10 dead. There's only 3 left, and we've got another heavy D6 weapon to go. So this is the Fragstorm grenade launcher. Just the 1. No way. Wounding on a 3. Yes. And they get a 6-up save. And they haven't made it. So there's 2 left over there. And I'll have to do a synapse check for those 2. Yeah, Captain over there has a Boltstorm gauntlet which shoots 3 times. He hits on 2s. And this splats the last 2 remaining ones on 3-ups. 2 of them are dead. And that is the end of that flank for the Tyranids. Now with all shooting done, we move on to the hitting bit. So let's see what happens here with the hitting, and it's the team who isn't the current turn owner who hits first. So Tyranids are going to hit first across the board. In fact, we'll do the Commissar charging first, and then the Tyranids hitting, and then the Guardsmen, if they survive, hitting. So far in combat, the Commissar attacked first. He killed 2. These guys killed the Guardsmen. That's the end of that Guardsman unit. Can I take them out without flicking models everywhere? And then the Gribblies that were attacking the Commissar, they've basically wounded 4 times. He has a 4-up save. He has 4 wounds. So can we save him? These have to be 4-ups, all of them. If the ones that fail are wounds, if they're all fails, he's dead. And he's only lost 1 wound. What a hero. They're going to consolidate and basically absolutely swamp him and make him regret his decisions. Warmlord now with his 4 attacks still. He's going to be hitting on 2s. Yep, they all hit. He's going to be wounding on 4s. And 2 of them. So it's got 3 wounds left. It's going to have to make 6-up saves here. And each of these, yeah, basically I need 2 6s here to keep that Leman Russ alive. It could blow up if it dies, however, which might be nice for taking some wounds off that Swarm Lord. 2 6s. Nope. So the Russ is out of there. It explodes on a 6. Nope, it does the opposite. It implodes. And sadly for humanity, the Leman Russ is, oops, out of there. And at the end of turn 2, just before we go on to turn 3 for the Hive Tyrant, let's see how we're looking. So this flank is basically owned by the Space Marines, so they own this objective. They did own that one. They also own this one actually, so this is the bonus point scoring objective. Is actually the Tyranids are splitting these 2. So yeah, it's kind of twisted things on its head a little bit. The mission is called Incisive Attack, and it feels like it's the Tyranids who've done that really, because they screened themselves blocking the Terminators coming in back there. So yeah, we're going to move on to Tyranids turn 3 now, and let's tally up the points. They own 1, that's 5 points. 10 points, and they also get, I think it's 3 bonus points there for owning the 2B objectives. So after Tyranid movement, the Gene Stealers are basically pushed there. They know they don't need to screen anybody deep striking anymore, so they're going to get their nasty little claws into these Terminators. Hopefully it's a conflict as old as the game itself, isn't it? Terminators and Gene Stealers. These guys just piled in. He crept forward a bit, so he's still got his tail, shall we say, on there, but he can also pile in a lot of ammunition into these Terminators here. The poor souls. Over this side, the Swarm Lord has basically stayed still. Basically going to pile some mortal wounds into these Terminators. I feel like Terminators get such a rough ride in the modern game of 40k. Over here we've got a winged hive tyrant, also going to rain down those mortal wounds from on high down there to the saviors of humanity. Or are they? So we'll start off with the psychic stuffs first. We're going to have the hive tyrant up there on his perch, into the Terminators down there, and we'll go Psychic Scream 5, and it's past D3 mortal wounds. 2 wounds off that Terminator unit. You're just going to keep count of how many wounds they're getting taken off them over here. Okay, next we're going to do Smite, so we want a 10 or 11 ideally, and we've got another 7. Wasn't a very good roll, that. D3 mortal wounds, and that is 3 off. So these guys on 5 wounds off. Right. Next we've got the Swarm Lord, Psychic Scream, fires on a 5. Ooh, very nearly. Perils of the Warp. I'm going to pay a command point to re-roll this, and it's past D3 mortal wounds. Oh, and that is 3 wounds. 5 plus 3 is 8 wounds off that unit, and we haven't even done the final smite. Final smite. What do we need? A 5 up. It's a 9. D3 mortal wounds, and that's a 3 wounds off. Pretty sure that is the unit dead. Let me check. So they get 3 wounds each actually. So what is it? 11 off. So you've got. Whoop! There's the big shadow. 3. Oh, he's got nose included on 3, 6. 9, 10, 11. He's on 1 wound. Wow. Next we're going to go on to shooting, and the rupture cannon is going to go into these Terminators. Let's hit on 4s. Only 1 of them, thankfully. Wounding on a 2, and that up save becomes a 5 up, and they have not passed that save. D6 damage on this, so if it's more than a 3, it's a dead Terminator. And it's a 3, so it's a dead Terminator. I'll go for this guy. So we are putting the stinger in, hitting on 4s, 2 hits, wounding on 3s, which I'm quite surprised at. Failed anyway, so you know, there we go. They survived that pretty well, to be honest. So that is shooting done. Now we're going to go into charging. Let's see if the Gene Stealers get in. They definitely get in well. So yeah, the Gene Stealer is absolutely swamping the Terminators here. I would kind of love to see the Terminators do well. I feel like Terminators often get a rough ride whenever I use them. So we'll see how this combat goes. Obviously the Gene Stealers will get to hit first. Yeah, over here I'm gonna basically charge my Hive Tyrant into these guys. Let's see what we need. Ooh, avoid the shadow of death. We need a 6. No, we need a 5 really, because he can fly. So let's see if we can get a 5. Yep, definitely got 5, and definitely slicey time over here. So lots of attacks, and these will be hitting on 3s. Quite a lot of hits there, to be honest. These will be wounding on 4s. Any 6s here will be rending and basically go right through that armor. So we're looking for 4s. Oh, drop 1. Let's re-roll it. There we go. So what we've got, a couple and a rend. So the 2 normal ones are going to be AP -1, so 3 up saves for them. 1 pass, 1 failed. So 2 wounds come off this unit basically, leaving 1 of these Terminators on 1 wound. Now that Terminators get to fight back. So here we go, lots of hits for the Lightning Claw Terminators. I'm kind of happy about this. We're going to be hitting on 3s. A few 2s and 1s, but that's not too bad. Wounding on 3s as well. Sorry, wounding on 4s. Yeah, wounding on 4s. Gene Stealers have the lightning reflex rule, so they got a 5-up invulnerable save here. So 5-up invulnerables. 3 of them are dead. That's pretty good going. They do have 1 wound each, yeah. So I'm kind of happy here for the Terminators. Terminators getting a break for once. And well done to the Terminators. Across in the distance, we see some brave Terminators trying to keep that Hive Tyrant at bay. And those will be the attacks we do next. Look how small they look in comparison to that Hive Tyrant. Let's do the attacks for the Hive Tyrant. Attacks because 2 pairs of monstrous silent talons, hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s. Wow, it's a bad day to be a Terminator over there. Wounding on 3s, these are -3 AP. So these become 5-up saves for the Terminators. The whole unit's only got 4 wounds left. These do D3 damage each, so 5-up saves. Wow, they made 2 of them. They failed to. There's one with 1 wound left, and the other one has its base 3 wounds left. It does D3 wounds. Oh no, it does 3. Sorry. So yeah, those 2 Terminators over there are, unfortunately for you and I, dead. What happens in this combat here? This Commissar is going to be swinging. Is he going to be winning? Let's find out. Stand for the Commissar. He killed 2, and then basically lots of them have hit him. Quite a few have wounded him. These need to be 4-ups. He's got 3 wounds left. Let's see how he does. He is the last Imperial Guard unit on the field. Oh, he's failed them all quite miserably as well. And with that, our brave Commissar who charged in unwisely is dead. So these guys are actually going to consolidate 6 inches towards there just to try and help out those last remaining Gene Stealers potentially. See how that plays out. So we now move on to basically the Imperium, or should I say Space Marines, because that's all that's left. Turn 3, so in the command phase they control 1, that's 5 points, 2, that's 10 points, but they also control the 2 marked A. It's divide and conquer the mission, I got it wrong before. So what's that, 15 points to them, on top of these 5 is 20 points. And yeah, so what we're looking at here, basically the Dreadnought and the captain has turned around. In hindsight, I feel like I probably put too much stuff on this flank. This is a lot of points, and it was always very restricted what it could do. It has held this important objective quite well so far, to be honest, but I don't know, that's a lot of gun to be putting in a cupboard, basically. So I kind of regret that as the Space Marine commander. But I regret nothing as the Tyranid commander, so it's a win-win, isn't it? So yeah, I think we'll finish this turn off and see how it goes. So no psychers. Let's do some shooting all into the Hive Tyrant. So 12 shots with the big Gatling onslaught cannon jobby. We're going to be hitting on 3s. Tyrants are just ridiculous. So wounding on 5. So I had to double check that. Oh, couple. Oh, 4. Cool. 4 up invulnerables. And wow, 3 of them have failed. They're just 1 damage each, but still, that's 3 wounds off a Hive Tyrant. That's pretty good. It's on 9, just keeping track of that there for this round of shoot. What's it called? Fragstorm grenade launcher. Hitting 6 times, twice, hitting on 3s. One of them hits, wounding on a 6. No, 5. That's wounded, actually. Now we get a 3-up save. And that has passed. Heavy flamer now. We're looking at heavy D6. Just the 1. It auto hits, and it's hit wounding on a 5, and it's failed. Captain's little gauntlet thing hits on a 2, wounds on a 5. Wow, cool. -1 AP, so 4 up invulnerables for the Hive Tyrant. Let's take some wounds off. Yeah, 2 more wounds off that Hive Tyrant with the wings. Winged Hive Tyrant's on 7 wounds now. I feel like I basically have to try and charge it and kill it in 1 round of combat before it gets to hit me back. And honestly, we might have a game on our hands here. So for our Dreadnought to get in, he basically, anything but Snake Eyes, yeah, he's in quite a bit. Let's get him in there. Let's bring you around. Let's bring you around. Come on, in the shadows. And then for our captain here, I think he needs 4 or 5. Yeah, he's in as well. So yeah, this is actually looking really good for the Space Marines. I mean, if we win this flank, fair enough we're not holding that anymore, but you know, the tables could turn here actually. I should have been re-rolling hits as well for the shooting that everyone was doing, because this guy's here, that's part of what he's about. Should have used it. Right, anyway, I can use it here. The Dreadnought is going to hit with that big fist on 3s. Re-rolling 1s. Cool, 2 of them got through. It doubled its strength. It's a real like industrial grabber. So we're wounding on 2s. Wow, all of them. These need to be saved by the Hive Tyrant on 4 up. He gets a 4 up invulnerable. And these will do damage. And he's passed them all. No way. Didn't expect that. The captain now with his Bolt Storm Gauntlet. I believe he gets 5 attacks. Yep. He normally hits on a 2. Because it's a bit unwieldy, so he's going to be hitting on a 3. And all but 1, which is really good going. Doubles his strength, so he is actually wounding on 3s. Wow. All wounded. It has pretty big AP, so Hive Tyrant needs to make 4 up invulnerables. Each one that gets through does 2 wounds. So potentially 8 wounds coming off him here. So 4 up invulnerables. Wow, 1, 2, 3 have failed. That means that the Hive Tyrant is down to its last wound. Bad news is that means it gets to fight back. So let's see what happens when a Hive Tyrant on 1 wound hits back. Still not terrible actually with 1 wound. Still getting 5 attacks, rerolling 1s. But actually hitting on 4s. So very formidable. These are all going at the Dreadnought, by the way. So I'm going to reroll that. And we've got, what, 4 hits. Wow. These wound on 5s. Whoops. 2 of them get through. And I think they got a -3 AP. So that Dreadnought needs to make 6s here to stop taking wounds. And didn't make any, and these each do 3 damage, I believe. So yeah, that is 6 wounds off the Dreadnought. Pretty bad, to be honest, for the Dreadnought. It starts on what, 13, so it's got 7 left. Let's put 7 down there. Okay, now prehensile tail for the Hive Tyrant. Hits on a 4. That's a 1. So yeah, I mean, that it was so close to taking the Hive Tyrant out. Let's move over here and see what happens in this combat over here. So we got what is it? 2 Gene Stealers left, 3 attacks each, so 6 attacks, and they excuse me, going to be hitting on 3s. They're going to be also wounding on 4s. None of them. Okay, wow. So now Lightning Claws get hit back. Many attacks here with the Lightning Claws. This many, in fact. Let's have a look. Reroll. Okay, reroll the wound roll. Okay, I think I was getting that wrong before. Anyway, hit on 3s. Wow, lots of hit. Wounding on 3s. Reroll these. We roll these. I'll roll that again because it was half off the table. Okay, reroll these wound rolls. Good news. Nice rerolls. Cool. Reflexes for Gene Stealers, so 5 ups. There's only 2 of them left, so need a lot of 5 and 6s here. That's not enough to save them. And finally, Terminators do some stuff. Hardly painted Terminators, might add. Many apologies, dear viewer. And being the true blue defenders of humanity that they are, they consolidate towards this onrushing horde. Can the Space Marines carry a victory for humanity. So after Tyranid movement, it looks like this. The swarm approaches. The Terminators ready themselves on the objective, and over here, hello, it's a Tyrannofex sitting still. Gonna get twice the amount of shots that she normally does. Over here, the Swarm Lord basically has crept into the shadows towards this Dreadnought, which is on depleting wounds. Another bad thing about leaving a Hive Tyrant on 1 wound is it still gets to do all psychic attacks like unimpeded, which is going to be very tricky. Speaking of psychic attacks, let's do those now. So we're going to have the Swarm Lord trying to smite the Dreadnought over there, and she needs a 5. Oh, hello. And she has got a 10. So D6 wounds here coming off that Dreadnought. Just the one. I'm gonna command point that. So D6 wounds 5. That's a lot better, and that leaves this Dreadnought on 2 wounds, which means that things are opening up a lot more there. So now I'm gonna do Psychic Scream, and I need a 5 again, and I get it. Now D3 mortal wounds. I need this to be 2 wounds coming off. Oh, it's just 1. That is a real shame, to be honest. So the Dreadnought is on 1 wound, and now this Hive Tyrant also on 1 wound is really quite angry. So now smiting, I mean probably into the Dreadnought. Yeah, it's closer. So actually no, I'll do Psychic Scream because I can't do D6 possibly. So Psychic Scream needs a 5. Failed. I'm going to re-roll this for a command point. Actually, I don't think I can. I think that's just failed. So now I'm going to have to do Smite, and it's going to be the Dreadnought. And that's also failed. Wow, interesting. Let's do some shooting. Okay, so they get to fight twice, so I'm basically just going to roll them all together, to be honest. So she's hitting on 4s. And she is wounding on 2s, maybe even splitting. These guys need 5 ups to save here, and none of them are saved. Each of these is D6 damage, I believe. Let me check that. Yeah, it's like just a flipping multi-bio las cannon. So the first guy, these, by the way, these have 3 wounds each. First guy is dead. Second guy is double dead. Third guy is nearly double dead. There's 2 more left to roll. The last guy is... that was going to be a 3. They are out of there. And with that, to be honest, I think I'm going to concede as the Space Marine player. Let's just have a look what we've got left. So, I mean, there's a Tyrannofex in the middle on full wounds. That's the dead pile over there, by the way. These guys ready to swoop there. There's a Swarm Lord there on what? 11 wounds left. There's a Dreadnought on 1 wound and the Captain. So all the Space Marines have left is a Dreadnought on 1 wound, which is about to get hit, and the Captain. And I don't think the Captain's going to face up against a Swarm Lord. The Tyrannofex, if she wanted to shoot. And well, he probably could face up against these, but yeah, that is Tyranid victory. Wow. Honestly, if the Hive Tyrant had died over there, I think I would have kept on going because it was getting quite interesting. And also, if these hadn't all died here, that could have been interesting as well, because this objective would have been held by the Space Marines in the next turn. So that would have meant victory points. Yeah, I really feel like as the Space Marine player, I put too many resources on this flank. Imperial Guard, I maybe shouldn't have driven my tank up here, because then it just got hit so easily. I should have maybe hung back and shot. The Guardsmen, I mean, what do you want Guardsmen to do, to be honest? What else? I think the Tyranids... you know, the Tyranids did well. The Tyranids are so lethal, man. It's unbelievable. Particularly when you've got like one of these Hive Tyrants is bad enough. To have 2 of them, one with wings, it's just crazy. It's just crazy to go up against that kind of stuff. So yeah, this has been Imperium versus Tyranids. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have done, please hit like and subscribe and all that jazz. Right, cool. This has been another Peacetime Painting video. Take care of yourselves and have a good day, morning, evening, whatever it is, wherever you are.